stickers, accessories that have spread around the globe, inspiring people of all walks of life to be the hero of their own story. So he is here to keep the motivation and to continue inspiring us. I'd like to present to you Mr. Zach. Come on up.
I'm a proud graduate of the Austin Independent School District. I started at Cassis, went to O-Henry, and graduated right here from Austin High. Even though my educational journey prepared me for life after high school, when I graduated, I wasn't exactly sure what I wanted to do. I knew that for me, college wasn't necessarily the route that I wanted to take, and instead I wanted to pursue entrepreneurship and creativity and to find my own path. That might have been a hard path. For a couple years after high school, I was starting businesses, working, and soon I felt called to travel. Just really wanted to go out into the world and see what it had to offer. So I saved up some money and I bought a ticket to Europe. This trip was a monumental experience where I was able to connect with people from all walks of life all across the world. I was walking back streets with people from different continents, sometimes sharing stories with people that hardly spoke English. And I realized that everybody from all corners of the globe has the opportunity to be the hero of their story. Even though it looks different for each of us, we all have the power to step into that role. So I came back from traveling and inspired by this idea of being the hero of my story and inspiring other people to do the same, I grabbed a can of red spray paint and went right over here underneath the bridge on the hike and bike trail, and I spray painted Live a Great Story. Much like Matthias did a couple of years ago. This message had a big impact on me and my journey, but turns out it had a big impact on a lot of other people as well. Soon, people started taking photos and sharing the Live a Great Story message with really meaningful captions about them and their story and what the message meant in their lives. A decade later, Live a Great Story has spread around the world, reaching so many people of all corners of the globe and inspiring people to be the hero of their story. So as an AISD alumni, I was asked to come back and to share a little bit about the power of storytelling and how that can impact people in their own story. It makes me really happy to be here. So let's go back to O-Henry, 8th grade. O-Henry was a really important time in my life because it was, as y'all are very familiar with, you're at the upper end of middle school, you haven't graduated to go to high school, which is a whole other adventure in itself. And I had a significant amount of really important teachers in my life in 8th grade, one of which in particular had a big impact on me. Coach Salmon was my teacher and also football coach. He was a little bit on the younger side, so he wasn't too old and like unrelatable to us 8th graders. But he was still strict, confident, and generally held my friends and I to a higher standard. He didn't let us slack off. He held us to what we said we were gonna do. He pushed us and encouraged us to keep going despite all the challenges that 8th grade has. Coach Salmon and I kind of kept in touch through the years, but as it happens, you lose touch with friends and it's harder to keep in touch and go back to the teachers that you've had in the past. Eventually, we found each other on Facebook and loosely stayed in touch years later. A couple years ago, I was going through a really difficult time in my life. It was the highs and lows of life, which everybody I'm sure can relate to. And this particularly happened to be a very deep low. I was struggling with business, in my entrepreneurial journey. Life was hard. The external pressure of success, figuring out my path, not being where I wanted to be with my business, I just felt really weighed down. And it was a really trying time. So one morning I was sitting in my kitchen. It was cold and rainy, and it was just like a gloomy day, and I just felt really down about life and everything happening. And then I get a notification on my phone, and I see that I've been tagged in a Facebook post. I open my phone to find that Coach Salmon, my 8th grade football coach, had shared a photo and a caption tagging me on Facebook. 2022, almost a decade after I graduated from, more than a decade after I graduated from elementary school, he shares this message. I read it, and I just put my head down and cried. The fact that a teacher and a coach had had so much impact on me and my journey from so long ago, yet kept in touch and had been a spectator from afar. And now, years later, my story was inspiring to him. It was one of the most intense moments, especially in that time when I was struggling so much. It was exactly what I needed to hear. I share this story because as AISD faculty and leaders, sometimes it's hard. You don't get appreciated as much for the work you're doing. It's really difficult to keep investing in your students, investing in your district, investing in your peers when maybe you don't get the reward, maybe you don't get the feedback and the support that you think you should deserve or the encouragement that you need. However, as a student who's been here and have been a part of this district for so many phases of my life, I hope that this story is a reminder to keep going and that the work that you do is important for all of us students. So now, we're gonna do a little storytelling exercise. I like standing up here, but one of the coolest parts about Live a Great Story is not necessarily listening to a story from stage, but it's actively telling and listening to other people's stories. That's what I learned out in the world, traveling, is the power of storytelling and the connection that you can have through stories. So what we're gonna do, this is an experiment that I've hosted in all sorts of different environments. It started in my yard, I've hosted it while traveling in hostels, I've done it for nonprofits of all different group sizes. So now we're gonna break out into groups of 4, and for about 15 minutes, we're gonna share a story around a memory from high school. So I know that was a long way back for some of y'all.
Wow.
This is my 15th anniversary of graduating, so I'm 15 years out of Austin High. So I don't know, I'm getting up there too. All right, so we're gonna flip the lights on, and basically how this is gonna work, we're gonna set a timer for 15 minutes, circle up with 4 people, and just tell a story with some of the things that you learned from Kendra's presentation. So stories, beginning, middle, end, emotion, some of the other ideas, the inciting action, right? And we're gonna share stories with just 3 other people, small group stories, about a 3 or 4 minute story together. Maybe sit with new people, maybe sit with people you came with you don't know so well, but we're gonna break out and set this timer, and we're gonna flip the lights on, and we're gonna share some stories, and I'll come back up and close it down.